Hello, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a short, hopefully short, follow-up on last week's video about how I chose my Cambridge college when I was applying. And actually, I did switch colleges between undergrad and my PhD, so I'll explain why I switched colleges. But first of all, for undergrad, I chose to apply to study at Christ College, and I got into Christ College. How I chose Christ is a bit related to why I chose Cambridge. I was a student in a summer school. I was visiting Cambridge, so I was lucky enough to be able to visit a few colleges and go to their open days. We even, when I say we, I mean my parents and I and my family. We made contact with a few colleges that we thought might be a good fit for me based on location and number of maths students they'll take because I was going to study maths and it varies slightly how the admission numbers for each college and how they provide academic support for each subject. So, well, I won't go into the how explain how the college system works because it's very complicated and there's lots of videos on that. But it's just important to know that it will make a difference. And they say that your college doesn't matter, but actually, if you ask any Cambridge student, they all say that it does matter a lot. So it's something maybe that if you're sending an application that you might wish to consider. Obviously, making applications takes a lot of time, and maybe it's not your top priority to figure out which is your best college for you, but it's still worth doing that. And of course, you might still get pulled after your interview, but still, I think it's a good idea to do some research around that. So I had contacted, I think, five colleges. Um, and we had some visits to those colleges. It was slightly different per college. The sort of interaction that we had with them, so we're like as part of another group, and others were just like one with someone from admissions. We were just chatting to them. And so these five colleges, I'm not sure if I can remember them all, but with Corpus Christi, because that's the college that my summer school was based at, and I talked about it on the previous video. And Corpus is a small college, but it was nice to be there. So I thought, why not? And then the other colleges, there were definitely were St. John's, Churchill, which is a bit off the city, but just next to the maths department. Then King's, just because at the time I thought it was like a very famous one, so I thought, yeah, why not King's? And St. John's, Churchill, Corpus. Yeah, I think those were all the colleges we contacted. And maybe oh yes, Gonville and Keys, because Stephen Hawking went there. And then we also contacted Trinity because it was like a famous college for maths, but they just weren't interested in or like they say they didn't give like at the time, maybe surely it has changed now, but at the time they were not giving like this kind of one-on-one visits of the college or anything like that. And I also decided I just didn't want to go to Trinity because it was, I think, too much heavy for me because it has this reputation of being this like really great college for math, which it is. And I had many great friends from there, but I thought that it would be I'd rather be in a different environment when I was outside of like the lectures and the proper math stuff. I wanted to hang out with people from other subjects and so on. So basically, we had these visits to these five colleges that I mentioned, and it never really clicked. And I saw all these chemistry students that were saying that it just felt right, like which college they were going to go to, and I just wasn't having that, so I was a bit stressed about it. And so while we were there in Cambridge, I was just like, okay, let's just walk for a walk, whatever we were walking, and then we ended up in front of Christ. And I think I told my parents, well, we can just go there. It's the college that Darwin went to, so there's some Darwin stuff to see. And it just like as soon as we went in, it just felt right. We clicked. I really like the Fellows Garden, where it was like a green space that was inside the college that you could actually stand on the grass there, and it had a swimming pool. I think it's one of the oldest outdoor swimming pools in the UK. I think there's a bit of a dispute with Emmanuel, that's another college, because they also have another swimming pool, and they also claim that it's the oldest. But anyways, that's basically how I chose it. Like I went there and it was like it just felt right. And then we did some like more research, and it had a decent number of mathematicians per year. It was on a good location in the city center. It had like good academic standing, and all the support that I thought I would need. So I chose it, and I had my interview there, and I got admitted to go there, and had like I really enjoyed it. I thought it was for 17-year-old me that was the age it was when I when I left to go there. It was the perfect choice because it wasn't like too big or too small, so it was just the right amount of people and the location and everything. So yeah, I had a really great time there. And I'm saying this just to justify a bit why I decided to not stay at Christ for my PhD, which is what I'm finishing right now. I'm finishing 4 years of a PhD, and I was previously at Christ for 4 years, so the 3 years of undergrad and then the 1 year of masters. That because for me it was an integrated masters. It was technically part of my undergrad, so I wouldn't have been able to switch colleges. Um, but when I was applying to PhDs, I was doing this the 4th year of the masters, and it was also during like COVID lockdown, so I think that contributed a bit. But I just felt like, okay, I've had enough. 4 years in Cambridge is a really small town. I want to like switch things up, and so I guess in these like there's a lot of factors that contribute to making decisions like where to do your PhD. And in this personal dimension, I was thinking like I'd rather go outside of Cambridge, but for academic reasons, I knew that Cambridge would be a really good option. And so I thought, well, when I was applying, making the application for Cambridge, I thought if I'm going to stay in Cambridge for another 3 or 4 years, I'd rather have something different. And so it was a bit of a whim that I was filling the application, and I always assumed, well, yeah, I'll stay at Christ because I like it here. But I somehow had this revelation that I could switch colleges, and so that's what I ended up doing. And so, funnily enough, I I wanted it to be like a big change from what it was at Christ for this reason, just to be on a different environment. Even though I really liked my time at Christ. And so my first choice was Churchill, actually, which is a bit surprising because it's a bit of the city center, but it's completely different vibe. It's very modern, and I thought it would be nice because it would be like a 1 minute walk to the office if I was there in the maths department. And I also like that it has a high percentage of STEM students. And at the time, I thought like, oh well, maybe now I'll enjoy this thing. Which in retrospect, that probably wasn't a pretty good enough reason. Um, yeah, so Churchill was my first choice, and my second choice was Kings, just because, well, uh, in a way it's more similar to Price than Churchill is, but it's still bigger college, and it has this reputation of being like very social and like open and diverse, which obviously like Christ also has those things, but I think to a lesser extent, especially during the years that I was at Christ, it kind of Christ gained this reputation of being this like very highly academic college, which is great because it was part of in part a result of all our work of the students that were there. But it was kind of like a bit of a cycle where like, well, if a college does very well academically, then it's going to attract people who also do very well academically. And don't get me wrong, like everyone in Cambridge does very well academically, so but you were still selecting for the people who were even at the higher end of these already like very brilliant people. So well, that was good. I thought maybe for me, because I'm such an like perfectionist, and I can get very set there. At least at the time, I was like really focused on like just doing maths and everything. And so I thought it for me it would actually help me to be on a college where the social environment was a bit different. And so that's why I chose Kings. And I'm not gonna lie, also because they have a lot of like financial support for PhD students. So in terms of travel grants and all sorts of resources that you could apply to in general if you're in financial need. And so I thought, well, like that's always good if the college is willing to give you money. So that's why Kings was my second choice. and I didn't get into Churchill. I don't know why. But actually, I'm really happy that I didn't get into Churchill and I ended up going to King's, because at King's I've had like the time of my life. I mean, I think part of it was just being a PhD student, that it's something that I've really enjoyed. I'm really enjoying it still. But it definitely achieved what I wanted when I was switching colleges, of just being on a like different environment, and things feeling fresh from the beginning. And of course, after 4 years, um, of being at Christ, like you get so used to like replying, "Oh yeah, I go to Christ," when someone in Cambridge asks you which college you go to, which is like something that everyone in Cambridge does. Like if you meet a new student, it's like, "Which college are you in?" And so at the beginning, it was like really strange having to think, "Oh no, I go to Christ. No, I go to King's." Um, but eventually, I think after 1 year or so, I just got used to being at King's. I got really involved with the rowing club, and um, I made friends there. I live there, and now like it's more like an afterthought. Like when someone asks me which college you go to, I'm like, yeah, I'm at King's, which obviously is true. But then like only rarely I think like, oh yeah, I was at Price before. And people ask me a lot like, oh, how do they compare? And I cannot really choose a favorite. I think they are like very different colleges, and I think for me at the time, Christ was right. I think I might have been overwhelmed if I had gone to King's as a like 17-year-old undergrad, because I mean, King's is just so beautiful, but in a way it's like more big and more open. It's less cozy, and also more undergrads at King's live outside of the main like college campus. I mean, a lot of the college environment, because King's is a bit more dispersed. It doesn't have as many buildings in the actual college side. It's more like other buildings nearby in the city, which I have plenty of undergrad friends there who find that that is fine. But I think for me, it was maybe the right choice to go to Christ there for undergrad, especially for the academic support that I got there, which is really important during undergrad, and instead during PhD it doesn't really matter that much what the college does. Well, at least like in my experience, it hasn't made any difference other than this financial support for PhD students, which I highly appreciate from Kins. So yeah, I had a really great time at Christ, and I also love Kins, and that's how I chose the colleges. So sorry, this is a bit of a weird video this week, but I'm making or I've made a video that's specific to like my Spanish audience in Spanish. So I think this video is more for like general people interested in Cambridge, and I think next week we'll be back to more normal content. So bye, and never stop learning.